Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the National Guard products. This is their number 804S, and it is a bump-up style threshold. I'm going to remove it from the shrink wrap packaging that we have, or that it comes from the factory in, and take a closer look at it. This is a bump-up style threshold, and those are relatively common in certain instances. Where you need to provide a very positive seal from the face of the door to the threshold itself. But a bump-up style threshold, that's just the vernacular bump-up style. That's because the door bumps up against it, and all I did there was just insert the silicone, which they ship loose. Generally, but not always. It's generally loose. And that's what this looks like. Now, this bump-up style is a bit less common. Forgive me. This bump-up style is the most common that I run into. Now, this won't give you handicap compliance. And it is not listed as such, so be mindful of that. And while the reason is because it exceeds the overall height, that would be the reason there. This is going to be 7/8 of an inch overall height. Okay, it's going to be 1/2 inch over here. Okay, it will be 5-inch wide, and 5-inch wide is very common as well. Where you're going to use this threshold in a back door of a strip mall, where you have a hollow metal door and hollow metal frame, and you want to have a very nice positive seal down here. You may also see an identical threshold to this in emergency exits that you would have on the back of a big box store. You might have a home center, and they've got pairs of doors on the 80,000 square foot building on the back walls. You might have 3 pair of them. You might have double doors, you probably will, with surface vertical rod exit devices. The bump ups allow the doors to seal up against a hard stop or a shoulder, okay, giving you the seal. That's number one. They're certainly going to weather strip this, or they ought to on the inside as well, because you want your first line of defense to be out here. So throw a door sweep out here. Now you've got your belt and suspenders approach. Then the profile back over here. If you have those surface vertical rods, this will literally act as the strike for the Pullman latch of your bottom latch of your exit device to latch up against. You won't have to add a strike, provided you have, the proper latches and not bolts on the bottom of your exit devices. 5-inch is very compatible with typical 5 3/4 hollow metal frames. The 1/2 inch is good because your undercut is probably 3/4 inch. And then you'll have 7/8 over here, and that will give you that bump-up sort of feature to the threshold. And that's generally where we would see a threshold like that in one of those two instances. It happens to be high performance in the sense that you can latch those surface vertical rods and seal your door. But I would certainly, absolutely, I mean, if you have an in-swing, which this could be an in-swing threshold as well, obviously, and you have your bump up here and your door swings in, I'd add a drip cap out here. I don't want that water collecting up at the top of my seal area. I'd put a drip cap over this from National Guard. But again, if it's outswing, I'm going to add a door sweep out here, a door sweep with a drip guard, in fact. Nice quality item. This is the 804S. It's the 804. That's the dimensional properties of the item. When we talk about S, we're adding a silicone insert, and you can certainly do other inserts on the 804, such as V for vinyl, N for neoprene, or P for pile. So you can do 4 inserts. A quick summary. Vinyl is only when cost is the most important thing, and you do not care about long-term reliability. S for silicone. In my opinion, silicone's great if you have extreme temperatures and you want flexibility. N for neoprene, if it's closed-cell neoprene, which it would be, it'll give you better water resistance. Closed-cell neoprene is akin to car tire. It will smell like car tire, very water resistant. Pile would be if is interesting because I find that pile, like bristle, to be very effective at keeping out critters. Any sort of infiltration of small insects. Pile's really good at keeping that sort of scenario out. I might also use pile if I had a circumstance where maybe I had a bit of a cup in a door or a warp in a door, and I needed to install the threshold where it was really tight at one end, but then you really needed the projection of the pile to come out enough to make contact with the face of the door, heavily compressed at one end, normal projection at the other end. I might think of pile for that, because you can't take this silicone and smash it down to zero, basically. Pile, you really can kind of fatigue it even more than that. The link below this video to the product brochure will allow you to review the 803 along with its counterpart. Did I say 803? Pardon me, 804. 804 with its counterparts. It's 890. The 884 is... So the 890 is a bump-up style. It's shorter by 1/8 of an inch. You will have to have doors with a custom undercut if they're stock hollow metal to account for that. You might want that, and it might be typical because you want to get down further on that 1/2 inch. Pardon me, you might want your door to come down a little bit further, meaning you might have an aluminum storefront door and their undercut standard might be different. The 884 is nice because it's a thicker wall. It's literally over 50% thicker on the aluminum. So if you have a shop and you've got an outswinging door and you've got the threshold on the back of the door and you know you're going to be taking a two-hand wheel cart with 100 pounds of steel on it over it all the time, you might want a thicker wall thickness on that material. The 803 would be used when you have a door that's a little too short. And handicap compliance is obviously not important. But those are good areas to use bump-up styles. Then you've got the ones that are kind of like single rabbit type bumper sills. You will see the 8135 occasionally where it's a real small lip. You've got only a 1/4 inch under the door, but you still want a bump up. So that 8135 might save the day. Listed in the website in lots of different lengths. If you have need for a custom length, by all means let us know by ordering the next longest piece or pieces, and indicate in the comment field the net length that you'd like for us to cut the material back to. The reasoning is if you had to take this 3-foot piece and cut it down to 32 inch, you'd eliminate that countersunk hole that's there. And speaking of that countersunk hole, screws are included. So you'd be stuck cutting it and then countersinking it. Your centers won't be uniform anymore. So by all means, let us know. Order the next longest piece. Need it cut to a custom length, indicate that. We'll cut it, and we'll put that first countersink at the proper distance from the edge and the proper center to center as well. We can help with custom anchors for this material, like if you wanted machine screws and lead anchors, we can help with that. One feature that I like of the National Guard 804 is these almost serrations that are here and here. That means that when this threshold gets put down into a bed of silicone, let's say, they seem to bite in to the floor, because what do you have? Especially with a bump-up threshold, you not only have forces like this, but you have a lot of lateral force as well. You don't want to work that screw loose over time, and these serrations help keep that in place. So that's one reason that I like the 804 from National Guard over some of the other ones that are commercially available. Finally, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the National Guard products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. If you have any questions on the National Guard products, part number 804S, bump-up style threshold, or any other National Guard product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.